know. I don't know if this is still the case, but I had thought that it was like common courtesy to start a stream like 5 minutes early to give people time to gather. But then in the video after that, there's just 5 minutes of nothing at all. And like, I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know what is proper streaming etiquette. I'm not used to streaming. Hello, Jordan Taylor Reed. What's up, Jordan? Excited for your future stream where you make the world's greatest wax cylinder player. Yeah, me too. Bit of a janky start here today. Just trying to get everything lined up. My camera is like precariously. I got these like, I wish I could show you. I got these like cheapo little like ball head rotato thingies. And I've like strung 3 of them together to mount my camera, and they're all like very loosely screwed together. So one wrong move with this thing and it goes down. So yeah, don't mind me. Just getting things still situated over here. I'm still hearing myself, an echo of myself, and that microphone behind me. I see a bunch of little congratulations emojis flying away. I'm assuming that's you, Jordan. Let me see if I can take this down a little bit. So you can kind of see gently rotating in the background and what was up on the shot before. I have got the tape player working. Why don't I go over here? Why don't I go over to the desk? I have made some progress. So yesterday I tore apart this boombox. I still have a shell. Yesterday we took the guts of this bad boy. Oh, that's pretty dark, isn't it? I have to adjust that real quick. We took the guts of this bad boy out. This is now just an empty shell. And I could not figure out for the life of me how to get the motor to adjust its speed, because it's this weird kind of dual speed motor, and I figured it out. It's very, very simple too, so I feel extra dumb for not having figured it out sooner. This microphone sounds a little tubey, doesn't it? Check 1, 2. A janky start is a Mason start, and I mean this positively. Yeah, I mean that's very true. For all of the over-engineering I do of pretty much everything I'm involved with, it always has a little bit of jankiness going on under the hood, doesn't it? Let's see, I need to make that camera a little bit less gloomy. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this program that I have found called Camus, which is actually really cool. Because if you've ever tried to do any live streaming stuff or work with webcams, it's incredibly frustrating to try and get them to like fix their exposure and stay that way, because they always reset every time you plug them back in. So this lets you save camera settings and reapply them. So there we go. And now, okay, so now that's back. That's so weird. So something is going on. I use Dante Via to route my audio over the network. And for some reason, this has happened twice now. When I have started streaming, I will lose audio right at the beginning, just for a little bit. And then I'll pull this up and it'll immediately come back. Okay, so now, let's see. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. There we go. Okay, so we can see this view. I'm going to come back over to this computer while I tweak it so that we can see it. Is that your new $40 microphone? Yeah. Over on the bodge desk over there is indeed, wow, that's too bright, is indeed my new $40 taco mic, as I've been calling it. It's a Turnstile Audio 700, and it was $40. I think it was on sale, but it's still, oh gosh. Let me just reset all of the camera settings here. See if we can get that to work. Okay, that's a little bit better. Is it still wicked dark, though? That's still pretty dark. Okay, whatever. Okay, Jordan says it sounds good. Talking about the that cheapo mic? Okay, yeah. I thought it sounded a little bit tubey. Let's just take the gamma up on... Oh, that's the wrong camera. We'll get started proper soon, I promise. I promise, I promise. I still haven't really been telling people about these streams for this exact reason, because it has been a journey to get all this crap to work. I'm stringing together some of the cheapest off-the-shelf hardware that I can find. And it certainly feels that way. A little more brightness? Yeah, okay. Cool. So that'll be good. It looks dark. It looks dark on my screen. The video looks pretty dark on my screen. But I think we'll be all right. So all right. So if I can, oh, now I've run over the webcam. This is all just routed through. I have like USB extension cords coming out of my computer like crazy. It looks like an octopus. Every USB port on this stupid thing has at least 2 or 3 things coming out of it. And it all sort of works. All right. So, let me get this out of the way. Oh yeah, and that. So yesterday, well, I should back up more than yesterday, I guess. So the entire reason for doing this is that my friend Dorian found this. Now come back here. Found this. Inside this box is a cassette that was discovered wedged between the seats of a rental car or a taxi. I don't remember. I have to go double check. But some kind of cursed temporary vehicle situation. And there's a bunch of extenuating circumstances. I'll tell the whole story when we actually do the tape reveal. But they found a haunted cassette wedged in the backseat of some kind of car that wasn't theirs. Took it, and the cassette has apparently all of the details wiped off of it. So you can't tell what it is. It's just a blank outside of a cassette. And naturally, they thought that was pretty cursed, and they didn't want to play it. But when they were telling me about it, I was like, you got to send that to me, and they did. And so I went to Goodwill, and I picked up a little boombox, which is what started this whole journey. And of course, the boombox did not work. So I've been in search of some way to play a cassette. And that's how we have ended up here. I have torn apart everything useful. Oh, I should get the little playheads. Got a little box of bobs. This is not all from that, but 2 most important bits are these little playheads, which these are the most important thing. Let me go ahead and throw a jeweler's loop in front of the camera here so you can see it a little better. This little guy is what makes the magic happen. This is the little thing where the tape slides past it, and that little piece of metal right in the middle wiggles up and down to recreate the signal from the magnetic impulses recorded onto the tape. So this tape deck had 2 of them. It was one of those high-speed dubbing tape decks, so you could like record from one to the other if you wanted to make an illicit copy of something, or like record from the radio, make a mixtape for your loved ones. Where's my coffee? Yeah. So that's why we have this like dual deck situation. It's actually pretty cool. I'm gonna unplug it so I don't break or shock anything. It's got one motor on the back that is geared and belted to these 2 motors on either side to help keep things in sync. And I think these are so darn cool because they're just like little mechanical marvels. So much tiny little engineering had to go into making this possible. Like everything moves and slips and clicks just into place. A fun little tidbit that I was demonstrating on stream yesterday, but it was kind of in the middle, and yesterday's stream was a mess, was the copy protection feature on old cassette tapes. This is Patsy Cline, her legendary recordings. Is that they didn't want you to just be able to either accidentally or on purpose record over a commercially produced tape. And so they built in copy protection to these things, but the way they did it is really fun. It is literally that little, see, this light is brutal. See those little, you know the little notches in the top of the cassette tapes? Those are the copy protection. Because inside of the tape deck, there's a little, inside of the tape deck, there's a little nubbin. There, you can see it right there. See this little thing? This little nubbin locks in to the little hole, the little notch in the top of the cassette. So when I go ahead and place Patsy Cline in here, you can see that nubbin has slipped into the dent. And that prevents the record button from coming down. It literally is just a mechanical blockage. If I flip this over, oh, that's the crappy one. Here's the good one. If I flip this over, you can see, sort of, man, this is hard to show. I gotta replace this crappy Walmart camera, man. It's a disaster. The recording button is this one on the top, this top right corner button. And you can see it's connected to this like tab down here. If I push it, it tries to move down, but it's hitting the edge of this plastic piece. If this nubbin lifts up, the record button can slide past it, just like that. So when this is locked into that little notch in the cassette case, how do I get the shape for you? When that little thing gets locked into that notch in the cassette case, it keeps itself down so the record button can't be pressed. But if you wanted to record over a tape that you weren't supposed to, you could put a little piece of like packing tape or cellophane tape or gift wrapping tape over that hole. And then when it's in there, it would block this thing from clicking down. And then, ba-boom, you could hit record and wipe over the tape. Something else we found in here that was interesting was this little blue thing. So the playheads I was talking about before, the things that actually read the audio, these little guys, sit right here, right in the middle. And the tape from the cassette, you know, the stuff, the titular stuff, this stuff that's in there, gets slid past the front of this playhead, zoop, like that, and this would read it. But as we were taking this one apart, and again, remember the playhead would be dead center, so it would be sitting right here in the middle. I noticed this blue thing off to the side, and I was really curious what that is, and it turns out that is just a magnet. There's not actually any circuitry or anything going to this. It's just a little permanent magnet, and that sits there so that it can erase the tape when you go to record it. So as the tape is going by, because this would be Patsy Cline to be, oh, I'm making a real mess. Patsy Cline to be sitting in here. The tape is going by this way, and in record mode, that little, see how the little blue thing goes down? As the tape would run past the blue thing, that magnet would wipe it blank right before it goes past the playhead, which is actually also the record head. We'll talk about that once we get these properly hooked up. And so that would wipe the tape as it went by so you could record on top of it, which I think is wicked interesting, as you've pointed out there. So, my goal for today, now that I think I've stalled long enough, anyone who's going to show up is here. Hello, anyone. My goal today is to get this thing to make some sound. So we have Patsy Cline tapes here to test. I also have, I think, like a Chet Atkins tape. Yeah, Chet Atkins. I don't know who that is. The Essential Chet Atkins. I don't think I've ever heard a single song by his, but he is allegedly the original name in country music, so that's cool. Brooke picked these up from Goodwill. Somewhere My Love, the Entertainer is on here. Did you know Chet Atkins wrote The Entertainer? That's crazy. I have a little bit of a problem in here. My tape's gotten a little twisted. Boom. It feels good to wind up a tape with a pencil again. It has been a long time. I'm exactly old enough to have grown up with cassettes, but to have them pretty much exist only as a childhood memory. I used to fall asleep listening to the original Harry Potter books read by Jim Dale on cassettes. You borrow them from the library in these big plastic books. You know, it's like 40 cassettes in these 2 sheets of the book, and you have to like pop them out of the crinkly plastic and put them in the tape player. Loved it, man. Good stuff. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. Our goal here is to make sound, to get this thing to actually output some audio. So we're gonna have to put the playheads back in. I took them out. I don't know why I did that. But I'm gonna keep one of these loose, because we're gonna do some experiments. I'm gonna run this across some tape just loose so we can like hear that output. But I also want to get this to work for us to play the cassette back properly, and I think we'll start with that. So running this whole thing, there's this 2-stage motor. So just a 9-volt motor with these 4 wires coming off of it. And I was pretty perplexed when I saw this. I've never seen a motor like this. It's marked with what at first were kind of perplexing markings to me. It says, and then you can kind of see there, A, and then positive and negative. There's like a little tab in the way. But there's a little A there, and then a positive and a negative. And so I was confused by that, because then also on the board where it connected, here, I'll just use my little microscope. This will be easier. On the board where it was all plugged in, it just says motor high, motor low, and then B, and like B plus, which I guess is some kind of bridge mode or something. I think for when the two things are bridged together. Here, let me flip that around for you. Come on. There we go. So this is where it had been connected. Motor low, motor high, L switch, B off, and B plus. And I was like, I don't what is any of that? So I did some Googling. I searched up the motor number. I could not find a data sheet for the motor number. I actually ended up asking Gemini, like Google's AI thing, and it provided some tips that were helpful. Because there's, I don't know if it was just that the information is hard to find or that I wasn't looking it up right or what, but I could not find anything about this motor except for one really, really crappy diagram that just showed like plugging into the positive, negative, and then just adding voltage references to the other ones. I'm getting ahead of myself. The only thing that matters was that I figured it out. You give positive and negative power on these two leads, and then you put a resistor between these two, and however strong that resistor is changes the speed of the motor. So it's really, really simple. And actually, I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna like once I'm done with the tape playing thing, because I'll probably just have to buy like a real tape player. This isn't gonna last. This isn't gonna become a home appliance. But this is a really easy motor to control the speed of, which I think is very cool. I've also done something horrible where this uses red for the negative and I used black, but then I also used red for the positive, so I have to make sure I don't hook it up backwards because I could fry it. Where are we? But, so, here's what happens. If I hook up the power to the motor and I turn it on, just at a full tilt, I'll go ahead and put that in so you can see it. It moves along pretty quickly. Like that's hauling. If I put a Patsy Cline in here and I hit play, I think that's right. I think that's a normal playback speed, but it might be fast forward. But then I discovered via the adding a resistor to these. So in this case, I don't have a resistor handy, so I have actually just jumped it across one that happened to be on the board already. I just use these little alligator clamps that I'm obsessed with, and where is it? Just clamped it across a random resistor I found on the board until I found one that worked well enough, and that will slow the speed way down. So I'm thinking if we plug in an adjustable resistor, you know, a little potentiometer, a little twisty pot, a little knob, we'll actually be able to have a speed-controlled motor, which would be pretty cool, because then we can play tapes at any speed we want. Because you can see there, I hooked it up, and now it's going real slow with that much resistance between it. So that makes me think it has to be going fast forward when that's disconnected. So I'll just rip that out real quick, and then it picks back up. Because I don't know how we'd make it go faster if that's not the case. Because if this is us stuck at max speed, we might be in trouble. I don't know. All that remains is to find out. I'm gonna turn the power off to this. I really should have cleaned up the desk before I started this. We're going to be using this Lepi Hi-Fi stereo amplifier with 2-channel output power up to 20 watts RMS, so that's a bit overkill. We're going to use that to replace all of this crap. I'll worry about the speed controller later. We're just going to start by trying to get this thing to play sound. So, let me go ahead and clean up just a little bit of the mess I made here. I have got... This is my solution to not having a power plug. That's another goal. I put a couple goals in the description that I want to achieve. One of them is a proper power outlet, because this is no way to do anything. And this is definitely prone to me shorting out this little power supply, which would not be great. So we'll just get that out of the way. I don't think I'm going to need anything off of this board immediately. I'll probably need to borrow one of these little trim pots so we can make our speed control. But we'll worry about that later. All we need right now is the tape deck mechanism. I need the playhead that I'm going to use. Which is somewhere. I don't know what I've done with it. Here's one of them. Here's the other one. Okay. And, oh, and I threw away all the screws I took out. I don't know why I did that. Burp count. Jordan says burp count. Are we at 4? Are we at 4 burps already? The GERD is real today. Believe it or not, every time I burp, I'm trying so hard not to. All right. So because I tossed those screws, I mean, I'm surely I've got some fucking, oops. I'm also trying not to swear. So if you want to try and call me out on that, that's cool too. I wish I could stand at this desk. This is like such an uncomfortable height. This is like a $40 Walmart desk that everything I own is $40. I don't know if you noticed that. Everything I have is top max $40. There we go. I do have little screws hiding out inside of here. These are like wood screws. Am I gonna put wood screws in? I think I am. What's the worst that could happen? Oh no, you're gonna tell me this thing might not work? Come on. Come to my live stream. Come watch a guy with chunky thumbs try and wrestle tiny wood screws out of a little container. There we go. There's two of them. Papa. All right. Wickgird burp interest. Wickgird burp interesting. Hell yeah, dude. Wickgird burp interesting. Wickgird burp interesting. Yeah, no, that works. I'm with you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. All right, so I just gotta get this stupid thing in place. I wonder if I should just like drop this camera straight. Oh, and I got my speakers too. I forgot to show these. I have them. They're magnetically stuck to the pole. Let me just lower this a little. I think it'll be easier to see more clearly what's going on. Yeah, check that out. Now we're talking. That's much closer. Ish. Is this a net positive? Is this a benefit? We'll find out. All right. Let's just see if these screws are gonna work at all. I think these are like two different heights even. Am I gonna have to dig through the trash on stream? Oh yeah, no, that's fine. Well, no, maybe it's not fine. It did just kind of slip out. Dang it. Okay, well. No, they're really in there. Yeah, no, I really threw those away. Oops. Somebody says, clarification, the cassette you're trying to play, the contents are a complete mystery. Yes, the special cassette that I have in this box from Dorian and Maticus and addressed to my wife in our P.O. box is the mystery cassette that is the ultimate goal to play. But because we're not... And I don't want this to be the first thing we try and play, right? So I have some test cassettes. That's why we got Patsy Cline and Chet Atkins here. Brooke picked these up from Goodwill for me. I keep forgetting where the camera's pointing, so I'm sorry if I hold things off screen. Patsy Cline's Legendary Recordings, the Essential Chet Atkins. These are going to be our test sounds before we get into the haunted cassette proper. Is this the new Balenciaga Spring 26 collection? Of Patsy Cline? I had no idea she was involved. I don't know what Balenciaga is. I think that's a fashion brand, right? They make gloves? It sounds like a glove making place. No, they're like shoes, aren't they? I genuinely have no idea what Balenciaga is. Unless it's gloves, in which case I do, because I'm pretty sure. You know what? I bet I can just hold it. Who needs screws? Let's just do this the redneck way first. Let's just do it rough. And then we will see what's up. So, looking at the back side of this thing. There's a positive and a negative for signal, and then I think that's just a really big ground wire. Oh, yeah, because that's also, it's bridged to the outside. I don't know if you can see that. Lindsay Reed in the chat, they help support global warming. Oh, they help support global, Balenciaga does? That's like their thing? So we got, so looking at the back side of this thing, we get positive and negative for the signal, and then I do think that's just a big thick ground. So I'm just gonna yoink the other, so I'm just gonna clip the other side of this off. I'm gonna try and get some of this big outer sheath off too. By the way, this thing is the best These things are the best. Hashtag fuck Earth. You guys are so bad. I can't read your names either, so I don't know who this is. Oh, it's Lindsay and Jordan. What's up? What's up, Linz? I have over on this side. You can kind of see it if I swing back over here to my main desk. If I make my little camera view here bigger, you can see in the background what I have done is I have this terrible little Android phone from forever ago, and I have the chat window kind of just over the middle of it, so I can see the stream from that desk. It works for the most part, but I've screwed it up because I cannot see who is sending things. But I certainly saw hashtag fuck Earth. That came right through. I don't know if fuck Earth is the vibe I was trying to build for the channel, TBH. Alright, but I'm just gonna strip the signal wires off of this, feed them into this amplifier, plug the speaker into the amplifier, and then we'll start making some noise, and then I think the stream will start being a bit more exciting. The problem with like electronics and also sort of science in general is that it's boring, man. Kidding. I'm just not an exciting, I don't usually like talk to myself when I work. So I'm usually like one of those, I'm just dead silent, like zoned in, locked in when I'm doing this kind of thing. So I have to keep remembering to talk. All right, I think, so what is this one? This one's an RCA input. I think we got some RCA plugs. I think I can make that nice. Do I have, see, I got some TRS plugs and an XLR and a microphone. That's 5 burps. Frick Earth. Thank you. Some fence and that's nothing. I know I got RCA. I got RCA in here somewhere. Okay, yeah, somewhere in one of these, for sure. Oh, hey, this is one of those cassette adapters. I was talking about these yesterday. These, I had wanted to make a like tape musical instrument that was like a bunch of different looping pieces of tape, and you would like press keys and it would activate different tapes, and I wanted them each to have their own little reader, and so I wanted to get a bunch of these cassette adapters. I found out that Dollar Tree had them. So I went in and I walked out with like a case of them, not Monster brand. And I don't know what happened to them. But that would have been fun to have now. All right. I know I have some RCA-ended stuff here somewhere. I probably have. There's got to be an RCA cable I can just cut the end off. That would certainly make it a lot easier. Let's see. No! What could I have done with it? All right. Jordan or Lindsay says, I love that idea, Mason. The tape loop, like keyboard organ instrument idea. I'm sure someone's done it, and I just want to see it. You know, like a bunch of tapes, a bunch of like little rolls of loop tape, each with a different sample that's like pitched right, and then each key just turns on the motor, so you get like the whoop as it like spins up. I think it would be super cool. I'm going into the closet over here. I'll be right back, because I know I've got RCA in here somewhere. Somewhere in here. All right, this will work. Oh, this will work. This looks like I've got, whoop. What's up? I got RCA on one end, and then this will be easy to like hook a little alligator clamp up to on the other end. So this should help us. Where'd that playhead go? All right. So we just need to wrap the ground around the base. Sorry about how dry my frickin' fingers are. Oh, and That's also nowhere near it. Okay, so wrap that around the base. That'll be fine. And then we need to get one here and one on the other one. And that's totally, this is definitely the most stable and reliable way that we could do this. Maybe I need like a piece of tape. Ooh, or do I just want to like cut the end off and wrap the wires together? When am I going to use this? When am I going to need this? Yeah. Who needs it? This will be fine. We'll just nip it right off. Boom. Who needs those connections anyway? All right. You know, on second thought, I kind of wish I hadn't done that. You ever do something and like the regret sets in immediately? I just thought of like 4 things I could use this for. Not anymore, I guess. So, I think Lindsay says in Southeast Ohio, there's a literal Dollar General / Dollar Tree combination store. That is dark. We live in the worst timeline. Also, none of those stores sell things for $1 anymore. It's like $1.25, and then they're like, and our special fancy, more expensive section. Like that's why anyone's going there. I mean, that said, I can't reach it from here, but I have a stool that I bought from the $5 and up or $7 and up section. I feel kind of dirty about that. Current burp count 5. Thank you. Thank you for keeping that up. All right. So I am just, and I'm not doing anything on camp. See, this streaming is hard, yo. All right. Let me try and reposition things here a little bit. Forgive the darkness. All right. So what we're doing here, I have stripped the ends off of, I cut this off. Bink. And then I took the 2 ground wires, because we got 2 insulated wires inside. And then they had this copper shielding around the outside, so I'm going to tie those together. Because that's how this all was when it was, not cut too. These all just joined together at the end to form the ground connection. So why don't we go ahead and get our ground connection from our playhead in here too. And we'll just twist these all together. And that'll be fine. I get it up nice and close so that it's like tight. I'm just gonna make a little bit of a mess. Sweet. And then so that I don't have to worry about this while I move around, I'm just gonna wrap it all in electrical tape. So that's ground sorted. Come to think of it, I do have these little snap-in connectors I could be using that would make this a bit nicer and neater. But alright. So now all that's left is our 2 signal wires. So we have our shared ground, and then we have our presumably differential signal wires, meaning one half of one of the signals, so sound wave, audio wave, electrical signal that's wiggling up and down, right? There's one side of it that goes up, and one side of it that goes... Hold on, I'm describing this poorly because I'm not thinking while I talk. You can kind of think of it like as that electrical wave is moving up and down, it's like electrons being pumped back and forth through the cable, right? And so that's sort of what happens when you have a differential signal. One side is a copy of it going up and then down, and the other side is a copy of it going down and then up. So it is, you get the same signal but inverted, one on each side. And that lets you, on the other end, you can take one of those and then invert it using some fancy stuff. So then you end up with 2 copies of the same signal, add them together, and that has the added benefit of any noise that got introduced on them along the way of canceling out. Because when you flip one side, they start out, mirror copies of each other, inverted. Any noise that gets on them is not going to be that way. The noise will be the same on both sides. And then you flip it so that you can make the signals add together instead of... Because if you add 2 signals that are opposite each other, they cancel out. Yeah, I know, I'm doing a bad job I'm doing a bad job explaining here. Let's see. All right. The only thing that's important is that we're done. And this is what our adapter looks like. And again, I'm just gonna give it a good little wrap. Some electrical tape. Ooh. And we'll just wrap this all up nice and tight. Boom. This is now ready to be put in service for 150 years. If it's like any of the stuff I encountered at tower sites out at radio stations. I remember once I was at an AM station somewhere in Vermont. And I forget exactly what we were there to do, but I was looking around and underneath the transmitter was just one of those like big square flashlight batteries. And it had two just like loose ass wires wrapped around the two springy, you know, the big batteries with the springs on the top that you put in like the big clicky flashlights, like the big yellow ones. The battery from that with just bare wires hooked into it. And I asked my engineering mentor, Ira, I was like, hey, is this supposed to be here? This looks super janky. And Ira was like, don't touch that. It's keeping the whole thing going. So, I think we've done a pretty good job here with making this look neat and functional. So, we've got an audio input. That'll be fine. Let's get the speakers hooked up. This will be super easy. We're just going to take the speakers, shred the leads here. Bonk. Oh, it's not a differential signal, by the way. I was wrong, it's stereo. It's a stereo cassette, so it's gonna be unbalanced stereo. But I won't launch into a long-winded explanation about what that means, because that'll just be boring. So we'll just plug those into the back side of this thing here. So now we got a way to get noise in, and a way to get noise out. I'm gonna throw that on top. I need to plug it in. Have this overkill power adapter that we can use. Take this apart. Boom. All right. Now things are gonna get fun. If I have a spare plug, don't mind me. I have to plug this in, and the plug is behind all of this crap. Hang on. Oh God. Oh no. Not that. Oops. Don't mind this. Everything's fine. Oh man, do I need another? No, I can do it. I can totally do it. Yeah, all right. All right. It's in, it's hooked up, moisturized, flourishing, in my lane. All right, so now we have this hooked up into here. If I turn this on, we should have nothing happen. Good. Oh, I need to turn on the other end. Yeah, all right, cool. You see that? It's got a cool blue light, so that means this thing is hot. And if that's right, then okay. So we're currently not picking anything up. I'm taking so what I'm doing now, I have the playhead from the cassette deck. So this is the little thing that would actually, this is what turns magnetism into sound. You see how there's a little, there's like this silver outside, that's just the housing. But then in the middle, there's that little cross, right? That little plus shape. That is the thing that responds to the magnet. So you know tape is magnetic, right? Like the tape inside of here, this Patsy Cline tape. This is just a piece of plastic that has a bunch of little bits of tiny microscopic pieces of rust sputtered on it because that rust can be magnetized. It's iron oxide. So this plastic tape is sputtered with pieces of rust, and all of those little pieces of rust can individually, although like think of like little flakes all over this tape, and each of those flakes can be magnetized to either be like positive or negative. You know, all magnets have both sides. Obviously, there's a positive and a negative side to each magnet. But for simplicity's sake, you can think of each flake as being like positive or negative or somewhere in between. And so the way you store audio on a tape, like you've seen a waveform on like a computer screen. You know how it, like an audio waveform on a computer goes like up and down? That way you can just think of it as like, I don't think you can see that line. The up is positive, and the more up it is the stronger of a magnetic charge there is, and down is negative, and that's a stronger negative electric charge. So you just impart that on the tape, and then as you slide the tape by, those magnetic sectors fly past this little guy, and its little thing here wiggles in response to those magnetic fields changing as they slide past the tape. You amplify that a lot, because it's like a little tiny quiet signal. bada bing, bada boom, you got sound. However, something about what I've done here is not producing any sound at all. I gotta figure out what that is. Direct? Okay, no. So there's a little built-in EQ. I don't think that's causing any problems. I'm pretty sure the speaker's not toast. Oh. Oh, did you hear that? Hold on. Yeah, all right, wait, all right, it is working. Here, I just gotta get this close to the microphone. So if I, you're not gonna be able to hear it. Let's see if I can get a better sound for you. Basically, it's hard to tell, but that sound isn't me hitting the magnets, because this is a little container with magnets in it. And this is the playhead, and if I bring it close, you can hear the speaker pop. It probably just sounds like me tapping the magnets together, but it's coming from here. Let's see what happens if I like... Well, why don't we first just go ahead and put it in to the tape deck, and then we'll just see if we can't hear Patsy Cline in mono for now. So tape deck, all set. Where's my power supply for that? Over here. This is a disaster. Didn't ICP sort of finalize that nobody even understands how magnets work? That's true. Magnets, how do they work? You don't need to know how something works to make use of it, though. That's kind of the thing that gets me excited. Do we not know how magnets work? I don't know if that's definitively true or not. I feel like it's sort of like how people say scientists don't know how bicycles stay up. And like, I think we do, but at the same time, there's a lot of those like gotchas where like the closer you look at anything that exists in the universe, the less clear it becomes, right? Like maybe we don't fully understand magnetism. Maybe ICP was onto something. All right. So as long as I don't connect red to red, I'm good. So that should be that. And if I go ahead and power this up, which one was it? It's one of these. Excuse me, that's another burp. I think that brings us up to 6. What? Was it this? Yep. All right, almost the moment of truth. So we got this thing spinning. I don't think you can see the gear because it's going so fast, but that little gear is ripping. If I hit play. Oh, that's rewind. If I hit play and it's not engaging, why is that? Does the tape need to be in place? Oh, it was paused. There we go. Okay, so now we get the tape rolling by. Can you see that all right? Okay, so there's that. Lindsay or Jordan says, oh, it's absolutely not true. We might not know what magnets are. All right, let's see what happens. Moment of truth. I'm gonna go ahead and pause the stupid stream music. Oh, you know what? Maybe I won't carry that away with me. Give me just a second. Let me go ahead and pause this. All right, moment of truth. This thing's cooking. You hear it humming? I don't know if that's coming through or not, but it is humming. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. All right, Patsy. It's really fast. Oh, you probably can't hear that at all, can you? So this is indeed fast forward. That's pretty cool. That's Patsy Cline. That's her legendary. And if I'm not very careful, and I press too hard on the tape and stretch it out. All right, that's cool though. Proof of concept, right? We have got this thing playing, it's making noise, the noise is getting into this thing. This thing at maximum output power is barely enough to drive this speaker. I wonder if I drive it across left and right, I'm probably gonna blow this thing up. Let's see what happens. So I'm driving it with the positive from the left and the negative from the right. This also may have the result of doing nothing. Yeah, no real change. All right. Well, maybe I can get the other speaker on here. All right. Cool. The important thing that we learned is that it does work. It does work. We are getting audio. We're getting sound out of this thing. I wonder why it's so quiet. I don't know why it's that quiet. Because that's like, that thing can do what, 20 watts per channel? And it's at max. I must just not be feeding it. I mean, if you think about it, the electrical current at play is minuscule, right? We're talking about reading magnetic fluctuations from a piece of tape with just like a little magnetized head. Maybe I also need to do maybe there's something else I need to do to the tape head to make it more receptive. Or I could just keep hooking it up, see if we can solve that problem later. I wish I could pipe it into my mixer. But that might be something else to shoot for in the future too. Anyway, let's go back over here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off for now. I'll stick the other speaker in so we get as much volume as we can. And I'm gonna try and position these speakers sort of underneath the microphone in some manner, which is hanging out right there. So hopefully you can hear it better. So anyway, that's one speaker. We'll do the next speaker. These wires are nasty. They're covered in this like nasty, sticky 1990s glue residue. Bow, 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 bow. All right, and then all we have to do is jack them in, like yo. Boom, now we're cooking in stereo. That one's really messy. All right. Check it out. How much would you pay for this stereo? Check this thing out. It's got treble and bass and volume. You know, maybe I can make a little housing to put all of these together. Make a new consumer product. Let me get this sorted. I have inadvertently made my camera angle quite a bit crazier. How's that? That's a little better. And volume. That's correct. All right. It was a really poor decision to throw away the screws that held down the playhead. But I was not really thinking. Just, let's see if that's any louder with the two of them. It's really funny how quiet it is. Good old Patsy. All right. So we need to make this motor run slower. I think that's obviously the next step. And as I was talking about before, we figured out that this motor is very easy to control the speed of. Also, there's like a lot of wires up here that I just think are getting in the way. I want to get rid of these. I don't entirely think these need to be here at all. I think, and no, I know, these wires exist to, there's two switches on each side of the deck, right? If you want to have a tape that you can dub to another tape, you got to keep them in sync. Because if one like starts to run slower than the other one, then you're going to get a messed up recording, right? It'll be warbly. So there's these two little limit switches here that get engaged when the tape deck is, when there's a tape inserted and it is closed. Let me see if I can get it right on the thing. So see those wires? And it leads to that little switch right there. And that closes the circuit to say this deck is in use. And there's a mirror version of it on the other side that's harder to see because it's tucked in there, but that's where all the wires go. So that way, the board can communicate that, hey, I'm using both of these. We need to keep them in sync. I don't need any of that, so I'm gonna just cut it all out. And throw it away, because that has absolutely never gone poorly. That'll be... No, but actually it was getting really cluttered in here. Oh no, and I think I slipped a belt on the left side here. Yeah, so this belt, this over here, is supposed to be up on there. I wonder if that'll have any impact on the rest of this. Probably not. So the way we control this motor speed is we need to put a resistor between these two wires. And if I had a variable resistor, one that I could twist and turn, that would make life a whole lot easier, because then we could have a speed control built into this thing. And that would be very easy to do. It's a very common part, a potentiometer, because voltage is potential, and it adjusts the voltage by adjusting the resistance, I guess, is why they're named that, maybe. But potentiometer is the kind of thing you find in just about any knob, any electrical knob. It's a variable resistor, and pretty much everything is chock full of them, including the board that we pulled all of this stuff from. See all these little things with screw adjustments? Those are definitely variable resistors. The question is, what range of resistance do they offer? Because if we put too much resistance across it, nothing happens. It stays at the high speed. If we put too little resistance, like if we short them together, here I can show you. If we just take, so that's cooking. Come on. All right. There. Okay, can you see it spinning? Kind of. Let me just go ahead and... There we go. See how it's cooking like that? If I take these two wires and I short them together, it stops. If I let it go, they start again. If I touch them together, it stops. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see those little spindles going, and the spindles stop it. So this is infinite resistance, right? It's infinitely resistive almost, because there's nothing connecting them. And then zero resistance, because they're shorted out. So we need somewhere in between. We need a controlled amount of resistance that falls in whatever this thing considers an acceptable range. This board is so gross. I've got to have a cleaner thing. I bet I do. Hang on. I'm going back to the closet. Oh, I could have sworn that I had a little box that had some electrical junk in it that I was like, that'll be useful for this. Maybe it's this box, but I really doubt it, because I think this is just my, like, general box of bobs. What do we got here? Some light bulbs. There's like an RC car down here in the bottom. Pretty sick, dude. Yeah. Hell yeah. Remote control. No variable resistors. No pots. I guess. Oh. I do have one more little magic bin, but I think this was supposed to be safety glasses and I just kind of put garbage in it, so that ain't it either. I guess we'll use the nasty one from here. I have been heating up the soldering iron. Go ahead and get this focusing a little further out. I keep working like back here, because this is where it's comfy for me, but then I forget that that's not in the view for you. Get this out of here. So I'm just gonna extract one of these. Which one should we do? What color should we pick? We got pink, yellow, red, white, and brown. I assume they're probably all the same potency. I'm gonna start with the pink one. That looks easy to get out. Right? They kind of look like game pieces. They're kind of cute. Alright, so this is time for unsoldering, my favorite thing to do. So that's there. I'm gonna try and figure out where it is on the back of the board. I think it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it's all this stuff in this region. just going to kind of wedge it on there. And I'm going to use my solder sucker, which is just a little spring-loaded, oops. I think it just pooped out a bunch of old melted solder. Just a little spring-loaded suction tube where you click the button and it sucks up through this end. So what we're going to do, we're going to melt all of the solder. I'm going to go ahead and just take this radio antenna off as well. So we're going to try and melt all the solder here. And then suck it up, and then see if we can pull our component off the board. So first step is just get it all real hot. Shoop. And it's kind of amazing how well this thing works. And because we're not really worried about being precious with any of this stuff, we can just kind of go a little willy-nilly. Now I'm willing to bet this is leaded solder, so I should make an effort to not inhale the fumes. But the fumes from leaded solder are way more delicious than the fumes from non-leaded solder. Actually, real talk. Oh, wow. That's a real stink. Actually, I'm going to turn on the fan. There's whatever glue is on this board is gnarly, dude. Working with leaded solder is actually way... Oh, there we go. See, we've got a... See this little bit that's stuck out? That's all stuff we've sucked up. Working with leaded solder is easier than working with unleaded solder. Lead is such a nice metal to work with. I mean, that's how we ended up with all the problems we have, right? Like, the Romans were like, oh, this stuff's super easy to work with. Let's make pipes out of it. I think it was the Romans. I don't know. Unlike most other white men, I'm not obsessed with the Roman Empire. I don't know anything about it. Except for the lead poisoning. Oh, the Romans? You mean the lead poisoning guys? They like to take baths, and they like to eat lead. So, something that's concerning is that this doesn't seem to be loosening much. This thing has a lot of legs. I think it has 5 legs. So I'm just trying to find the spots that correspond to that. Heat them up. I'm grabbing it from the other side and wiggling a little bit. Yeah, it's coming loose. I can't really show you because it'd be impossible. Come on. So the thing about doing this is that I should probably use like a heat gun or something that can cover a wider area. Ow. Because as I'm heating this piece of metal up to try and melt the solder around these little pins so it'll come out of the board, I'm also grabbing onto the other side where the rest of the metal is, and so it gets pretty darn hot, pretty darn fast. I know it's gripping watching someone unsolder something. But you can see how this pink one now is kind of at an angle. It's become loose and wiggly. It's like a loose tooth almost. There's just a couple more pins that are stuck. Oh, that's fun. Actually, I will show you this. Check this out. If I can throw a loop in there, and then if you want to see. Do you see? It's a little hard. This camera is so bad. See all those little pieces moving in and out as this wiggles? See that? It's almost out. There's just that one last pin on this side, on this right side, that is not coming. I think I just gotta melt it a little bit more, and then I think we're good. Ah, yeah, there we go. Popped right out of there. So there's our component. Let's go ahead and figure out what this bad boy is. So let's see. I'm actually not entirely sure. I was assuming this is a variable resistor, potentiometer. It has a lot of legs. Usually a potentiometer only has 3. These could just be extra grounds. Xinghua SW1083F. Is that an F? 1083F. SW1083F. Let's look it up. SW1083F. Okay. SW1083F. Duralast multifunction switch. I don't think that's that. I don't think that's the same at all. Also, you ever seen one Google result before? Have you ever seen one Google result? What on earth? There's not like this is still loading. What's going on? What is all this space down here? What is this? Surely there's more things for SW1083F. I get, okay, oh no, not AI mode. Sorry, I thought that was all. SW1083, all right. Forget this. Let's find out the experimental way. Let's get the old meter out. And throw this down somewhere you can see it. And then what do? We'll measure resistance. And we'll see if we can't get a changing, because honestly, who cares what this is? All that matters is that we can adjust the resistance of something. The rest of it, who cares? If this is something else, as long as we got an adjustable resistance. So I'll go ahead and I'll clamp one of these legs. Yellow. I'll just clamp what I presume to be the wiper, because the way these things work, I'll make sure this is one of them before I talk about how they work. So, and then I'm just gonna clamp the other ends of these to my multimeter cables. Jordan says, Mason, you're loose and wiggly. Thanks, I think. All right. Auto ranging, let's see. Yeah, it's not. Oh, then that looks like a dead short. Okay, so 0.4. Let's see if turning this does anything. So that's 0.4 ohms. So that's like probably just nearly a dead short, actually. Those seem completely... This is interesting. Okay, here we go. Oh. Now, what's going on there? Why are we getting that flickering? Oh, it was just my fingers, I guess. Yeah, because we're in like we're in megohms. Interesting. So why can't I get this thing to do anything at all? Let's see. And there's not something else going on, right? If I click these. Yeah. Yeah. So see that beep means dead short. Isn't that the droid from a Star War? What? Loose and wiggly? General Beavis? Captain Salamander or whatever. I'm loath to say this in a public forum. I don't really get Star Wars. I watched it as an adult. I watched it way too late. The magic just wasn't there. What on earth is this stupid thing? Is this a variable capacitor or something too? Is this like a tunable capacitor? Alright. Maybe surely one of these. This thing had a volume knob somewhere. I know that's the microphone. This is probably a pot. Let me just go ahead and pin both sides here. Get. Can you see that screen? Yeah, you can see the screen. You can sort of see the screen. Right? Okay. Now there is other stuff hooked up to this that might affect it, but I think, judging from the way this looks, this is probably also a potentiometer. Oh, come on. Yeah, so it looks like it's a 12K. 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh, interesting. 4K, 5K, 6K. Yeah, this is what we're looking for. All right. Why don't we go ahead and do that? Actually, you know what? Why don't we do this the super lazy way? I'm just gonna go ahead and solder. Oh, am I gonna do that? Yeah. I'm just gonna solder down the motor's leads to this, and this is just gonna become our speed control. So, we're gonna make it real janky. Let's see, where are those two wires? Brown and gray, right? Those are our speed control wires. We need to apply a resistance between them to slow down the tape so that we can hear it at a reasonable speed. So, I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna solder it straight on to this, what I think used to be a volume or tone knob. There's a lot of solder on this board. Oh yeah. I wish there was a camera that you could like, and I don't actually wish this because in the world we live in, this would be probably the worst product ever. I wish there was a camera you could put in your eyes so that you could see exactly what I'm seeing. Because it's really satisfying when you see the solder solidify down. Like I don't know if you can tell, it like gets all shiny when it's hot and melted, and it gets this nice sort of, it's fun to watch metal liquefy and then solidify. All right. I think if I have not done anything too egregiously incorrect, we should now have a little speed control by adjusting this dial. So let's go ahead and power on the motor, and let's see if that's true. Oops, it popped off. Well, if I hold it here, oh, what has happened? It's in rewind mode. Okay. Calm down. Cool it. Here, we're in play now. Alright, so, oh yeah, alright, so, okay. Do you see how slow it's going? Is that visible? Is that there? Oh man, this is so annoying. Alright, hold on. It's gonna lower this way down. We're gonna get this in place. Like, yo. Actually move that out of the way. So, if I connect this, you can see it slows to a crawl. And now that's off. Oh yeah, we're cooking, look at that. And as I adjust the knob up, we can get faster and faster. So we're at that speed, that seems to be the most we can get. And then if I lift it off, how fun. So we've got a little bit of a speed control. Now, if I'm able to do this, let me pull this camera down. Gonna get a little bit of a crazy angle on my face, but I'm trying to get the microphone right up against the speakers. Because now if I hold our little playhead thing that we made, this little guy, oops, get out of here. Go on, get off. If I hold this little guy in place, we should hear Patsy again. Maybe. I don't think you can hear that, but it's totally freaking working. All right. Go ahead and pause that. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it, and I'm gonna power it off because I'm gonna solder that connection so we can actually just have it. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it because this will be the part of the stream where things get really cooking, and then I can get our audio in nice and loud so you can actually hear it, and then we'll do some experiments with the tape head. But for the time being, I'm actually just gonna take the time to take this off so that this is actually usable and I don't have to like juggle 100 different things just to get you to hear Patsy Cline in excruciatingly low quality. So I'll just melt this off as best I can. A camera in your eye sounds a lot like technology that Sith Lord crap would use in a Star War. Oh, that's another burp for which I'm sorry. I was more afraid of the Elon Musk types. You know, there's like that Neuralink or whatever he's trying to make. And like, as a person who has long said that I would be first in line to become a brain in a jar. Not if it's his jar. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Not that guy's jar. His jar? Never. There's another tube of stuff we have sucked out. This is a really sloppy job. Do you see how misaligned these are in the, You know, I was originally going to try and do something with the stream where I said, what can a cassette deck teach us about perfectionism? And then I thought that felt a little bit too heady and like up my own butt. But I do think that a cassette deck can teach us a lot about perfectionism because this thing presumably functioned for many, many, many years just fine with nobody noticing anything weird about it. But if you look right here, you see how misaligned these are? These bits here should be centered on the pads that they're on. And they're very clearly like almost all the way off the right-hand side. So like, close enough is good enough a lot of the time. I think that's beautiful. I don't know. It is strange to feel the need to talk out loud constantly. 7 burps. So now it's not melting, so I'm going to add some more solder to my iron. Some more melted metal, which adding more metal to this when we're trying to suck it away might seem counterintuitive, but it spreads the heat so much better than just the tip of the soldering iron does. I am no great shakes at soldering. I've done a fair amount of it, but the artistry of it fully escapes me. I know some people are really good at it. I know people do soldering for non-mechanical or electrical purposes, like jewelry making, soldering, and that is terrifying to me. I don't think I've ever made a solder joint that looks good. To try and make a solder joint where, like, it is functional, I guess, in, like, something like jewelry is holding stuff together, but to try and make one that looks good as, like, a primary function? No way, man. Alright, that's a lot. Sucking it away. There's another 2. Yeah, more of that stuff. It's coming away slowly but surely. The tricky thing about this one is that I think because it is mounted so flush, it's going to be kind of difficult to get it all up. Let me see if I can't force it off now. Ow! It's hot! Why is it hot? Come on! Fine. It's not ready yet. There's like a spot here where this thing is just not wanting to come out. Here's an idea right off of my shelf. Maybe I can really just sort of force it off. Well, first, yeah, just like that. That's fine. And get all that crap out of the way. This is the only bit we need. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. Caveman style. That's all it needed. Yeah, see, that was never gonna come out. This thing is riveted to its little board. So now, with a little bit of wedge power, if I can avoid stabbing myself, Yeah. All right, we're talking. All right. And those 2 pins don't matter. These are just like extra grounding. Extra grounding for probably RF reasons. Radio frequency interference, trying to prevent that kind of thing. One up. So now I'm heating it while bending it so that as soon as it is able to like break its connection, as soon as it gets hot enough to break, it'll jump up so I don't have to try and hold anything. So that's great. It looks like that worked a treat. Boom! There's our little speed controller. And all it took was that. Cool. So now, and actually because this has all these cute little holes in it, I don't even think I need to solder our motor leads, and I think I can just poke them through and hook it. And then I do think it would behoove me, probably, to attach the playhead in a manner that is not quite so janky. Wow, this thing's really hot. Alright, come on. There we go. Just trying to loop it through and give it a twist so that it's nice and secure. One on the outside, and then one in the middle. Because the way these things work, I'm actually gonna take a break for a second, sip some coffee, come back over here. Back over here. The way these things work is really simple and really, really cool. Or wicked interesting. If I open up Paint, I can show you real fast. Excuse me. Hey, that's another burp. So if we look at this, let me get my cursor over here. There we go. So it kind of looks like burk, burk. And then there's that third terminal, right? So we have like one connection there, and then a connection here. And then, we've got like our wheel on the outside is a thing that we would be turning. That part's not important. The way these things work, which is really neat, is that you have the knob that's turning is connected to a little dial thing like this, where it is about exactly like that. And that dial is what's connected to the third pin. And the way these things work is that this track, the longer along it you go, the thicker it gets. Not really, but the more resistive it gets. It is... Well, hold on, I misspoke there a little bit. It's not the more resistive it gets. This is... I keep trying to oversimplify. I'll just describe it in the way that makes sense to me, and hopefully that'll make sense to anybody else. It is a track of resistive material. So, like, this is material that has electrical resistance to it. It's not completely resistive. It doesn't completely block the flow of electrons, the flow of electricity, but it does partially block it. And the more of it you have between either end, the more resistive it is. So that's how this adjuster works. So if you forget about this dial that I've created for a moment, like pretend that dial's not there. You have a fixed amount of resistance from one end to the other, right? From this pin to this pin, the electrons have to flow all the way around this track of resistive material. So that would be the maximum amount of resistance you can have on this. So if we just said that was 10 resistance, if you had a wiper and you could put it, I don't know, I should have put it halfway up, but let's say there, let's say, what is that, like 25% of the way, a little like 30% of the way? That's going to be 30% of the resistance, because the electricity can flow through here along this much resistive track and then down the wiper and out to the middle connection. So that's how like volume knobs and variable resistors work. It's literally just a wiper in there. It's also why if you have old speakers and you turn the volume knob, it goes like you're literally wiping little just bits of debris and buildup off of the wiper assembly on the inside. It's actually something you should do on old electronics. Get the grime out. You just twist it back and forth a bunch of times. My studio monitors in the studio have that problem where they build up a lot of crud like that. But that's the way it works. There's just a little mechanical wiper inside, and it cuts off part of the track. So what that means here is, so if that's 30% of the way from this side, That also means that this side has 60%, right? So like from this half over here, if you were to connect these two, that's 60, and then these two would be 30. So if you know, and as you change this dial, because this thing can move, as you change this and you sweep it around, you're changing the ratio on either side, which is why there's 3 pins. So to control the speed of our motor, we want to attach it to the outer pin and then the middle pin, so that we have attachment to that wiper, and we're getting the changing voltage. And it doesn't matter which outside pin, that just will determine the direction the wheel has to turn, right? If you think back to the diagram. So that's why we go on the outside, and that's also why we go in the middle. Now we have a knob. That should control the speed. Get over here. Of our tape player. Get over here. Fairly well. The main problem, the biggest problem, and a really obvious problem that I don't know why I didn't solve right at the jump is that this stupid playhead is not fixed in place, and that is very difficult to deal with. I'm gonna go ahead and dig in the trash for the screws. I have to dig in the trash. I need them. I made a mistake. I don't think you'll be able to see me. Well, I can point the camera over here while I dig in the trash. But this is why throwing stuff away. This is why I never throw things away. Oh God, I actually don't think I can dig in there. I try to keep that as like a tech trash, you know, like a trash you can dig your hands through if you're careful enough. But I think I dumped out a bunch of incense in there. So everything in there is covered in this really sort of nasty, extremely scented dust. And I don't really want to fuck with that. But I need a way to hold this thing down. What's the guy got to do to hold down a playhead around here? Maybe my stupid little wood screws will work. I suppose I could... Well, no. I was gonna say I could like solder it, try and melt plastic into it. Maybe I can take screws out from somewhere else and put them in there. I bet you there's... You know, a lot of people will say like, oh, you take something apart and you have a couple screws left over, like, oh, you messed up somewhere. There's too many screws. Most things have too many screws in them. You can take screws out of stuff. Most stuff doesn't need all its screws. I think it's wasteful, TBH. We'll take off. Who needs 2 tape decks? I'm taking this from the other side. I'll just steal one little screw from the thing that holds the other side together. Put it through here. Sorry if this is a terrible view. See if this is even the right kind of a socket. Almost sort of working? Sort of almost? Nope. Not at all. Cool. All right. My kingdom for a screw. Maybe this guy will do it. Maybe this little screw at the bottom. Maybe this will be the secret to unlocking the playhead. Yeah. Oh, no, I see. That's like a really long... It's like a long hole in there. I need like a long screw to go in that long hole. There's got to be a long screw somewhere. Let me go back into my pile of wood screws. This one's pretty long. At risk of damaging this whole thing. Which, of course, I would never want to do. I don't want to damage this. Let Let's see if that does it. Honestly, if this is enough to just like bury it in place, that's all we can hope for. Hey, better than the last one. All right, all right, all right. All right, 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 all right. All right, all right, let's see. Look at that. Okay. This is gonna be tricky. But we're here, and it's happening. And it is working. Check this. I'm gonna have to turn the noise gate off of this mic real quick. All right, so you can hear it. This is as loud as I can get it to be. So it's playing, and check this out. Boom, that's a speed control. So the problem is I don't know what Patsy Cline is supposed to sound like. Probably not that. So this is...
And it still looks the same as when you gave it, dear. The only thing different.
That's...
I've got these little things.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I mean, it sounds awful, right? But it's working. It's working enough. It is crazy how much amplification you need.
She's got you.
But there we go. That's a working speed control.
I've got your memory. Or has it got me?
Cool. So at risk of any kind of copyright infringement, sorry, the estate of Patsy Cline, or I'm assuming she's dead. I don't know if she's still alive. That's just, I don't know. The first thing about Patsy Cline is just an old sounding name. I'm gonna check that real quick. Is Patsy Cline still doing her thing? Patsy Cline. I don't think so. Usually when the first photo that shows up is very old timey. Died March 5th, 1963. Oh gosh, she wasn't that old. Oh my gosh, she was only 30 years old. That's crazy. That's also really sad. I'm 31 years old. I'm older than Patsy Cline was. Ooh. That's dark. Hey, Alex. Yes, I did. So I wanted to ask you specifically if you had found, or if you had knowledge of how the speed control on these motors worked, because I didn't realize it was so simple. It is literally just that you need to put a potentiometer between those two control wires, and the amount of resistance there determines the speed of the ding-dang thing. I was expecting to have to make some, like, PWM thing. Yeah. I thought I was going to have to make my own, like, motor speed controller timing thing, and that would have been a nightmare because I was not ready to do that. I do have a 555 timer in the closet. I thought I could probably use that to, like, turn on and off a transistor to, like, you know, pulse width modulation, slow it down that way. But then it turns out that this design is wicked smart, and I'm totally going to just steal, I'm going to steal this motor for use in other stuff. Having a speed controller that is as simple as just changing a variable resistance across two control wires instead of having to do anything else, that's super handy. Super duper handy. Yeah, this doesn't, I mean, it might be a PWM controller inside the motor, but the fact that it's all in one package is what blew me away. I gotta stop doing this also. I am wrapped up 6 different ways with my headphone cable. Oh, gosh. Hold on. Okay. There we go. So, yeah. So that really was not that difficult. I was really expecting it to be more of a nightmare. But, yeah. It's working a treat. Oh, although I say it's working a treat, I have sent the other side into a bit of a tizzy now. I think I need to kill it. Something happened while I was away. So this motor, this motor that we're working with is a classic 2-speed cassette motor. Extremely, extremely easy. Yeah, you got power in and out, positive and negative, in and out, power positive and negative, and your 2 control wires. I was thrown because why is it labeled A? What does A mean? And then the other one was unlabeled. And then on the motor it was called B, which I thought was for like bridged mode, for bridging together the 2 decks. But I genuinely have no idea. Very much baffled by that. I was gonna disconnect the other deck. Well, I don't want that belt causing problems, actually. Let's go. Let's see. Oh yeah, now we're getting nothing. Okay. So we get that in here again. Put it into play mode. Turn it up. And you can kind of... If I hold the speaker right up against it... So... If I swap the control wires, nothing will happen because it's just a potentiometer between them. I have just yoinked out the volume knob. Oops. And now it's at full speed because it came unhooked. There's no polarity to swap here, but I could try swapping... Something I'm nervous about is... Oh gosh. I could try swapping the polarity to the main motor drive. Get in there. Golly gee willikers. Sorry for the audio hell. Hang on. There we go. Okay. It's hooked up. I just have these very, very loosely wedged in here. Yeah, if I swap polarity on the cassette motor, I worried about risking blowing up the, like, speed governor, because I don't know what it's doing on the inside. But let's try. Let's see if we can get it to, Here, I'll get the mic close. Okay, so now it's stopped, and we'll go ahead and switch it. So switching positive and negative around. And look at that, it's spitting all the tape out. You see that? The reason that that's not working is because you can't push tape. So now the motor is just pushing tape, and it's just going out the other way because it's not going to wind up onto the other spool. So you always got to be pulling on the plastic. Look at that. What a nightmare. I wonder if there were any consumer cassette players where it was really easy to like accidentally reverse the polarity on the motor and cause something like this to happen. I wonder if that led to any tape mishaps, because I feel like it was kind of a meme in the tape era for this sort of thing to happen, right? And then you're like, oh no, I hope it's all gonna be okay. Oops. Uh-oh. Whoa. Whoopsie. So it does indeed reverse the polarity of the motor without hurting anything. But it did cause a bit of a mess. Now let's see what happens if we wind it back up. Let's just go ahead. All right. Let me get this wire a little bit out of the way. Let's see if it can do that in reverse without any problems. Here we go. I very much anticipate we're going to have some problems. I'm seeing some stuff happening there. Well, we can just go ahead and pop this right out. Yeah, there's a little bit strung up around the, what is that bit called? The little thing that, oops, don't eat it. I kind of forgot that every other piece of the mechanism was super loose. The Library of Congress tape player lets you play a tape backwards. What do you mean the Library of Congress tape player? Is there an official tape player of the at the Library of Congress? Because that is not something I've ever heard of. I'm just going to add a dab of solder onto these real quick, since the iron is hot anyway, so that we don't have to worry about our speed controller coming out on us. I'm also going to get the camera back up so that I don't have to try and work in this tiny, tiny little area. That's a little bit better. Get more of a view of what's going on with the entire desk. I'm just going to try and solder this connections together a little bit. No, not the capstan. This thing, this little thing that oh, you can't see that at all. The little thing that puts weight on it to help guide the tape. This little thing. So we get the playhead here. The tape goes by, and then this little thing swings down to put pressure on the tape to help it be more consistent. But I don't no idea what that's called. Because the capstans are these little guys, the things that actually poke through the holes in the tape. Bonk. Unless I have that backwards, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, is it just called the roller? Is that what it's called? That would make sense. That is what it do. It do roll. All right. Solder that. Solder that. Bada bing and bada boom. I'm going to turn off my soldering iron. Wind up my solder a little bit. This Patsy Cline tape might be toast. But that's okay because I want to use the tape from it for something else. I'm not extremely concerned with maintaining this as a tape I can listen to, you know, for leisure or anything of the sort. Come on. Yeah, this is busted. And it's everywhere. This stuff has a really particular feel too. Like if you grab have you ever just grabbed a piece of tape and like you hear that? That's just like can make a wicked gnarly tape loop with this. Patsy Cline feels like a perfect candidate for tape looping, right? That style. So I'm definitely going to take it for that kind of thing. But first, I think I just need to get it out of the mech. We have another Keith Atkins, Chet Atkins, the essential Chet Atkins that we can bring into play if we want. But I want to take this busted tape. There we go. I have just had to rip it. R.I.P. Patsy Cline, her legendary recordings. And apparently, as I learned today, R.I.P. Patsy Cline. Many, many years ago. Oofa doofa. So I certainly made a choice by letting that kind of do its own thing. And I was really hoping that we would get more amplification out of this little amplifier. Because it is still remarkably quiet. There we go. Okay. So we've got most of our tape. Which side is the cut side? Oh, the short side. All right. I have a moment of silence for Patsy. Indeed, I have made quite a mess here. I want to see what happens if I take this. I mean, I know what's going to happen. It'll make some noise. I want to just take this and rub it across the tape head. So if I can just like. Now it's super, super duper freaking quiet. Yeah, you can't hear that at all, can you, when I do that? It sounds exactly like you would expect, like a record scratch. But coming through the speakers. Man, that's a shame. I really thought that this little amplifier wouldn't be doing me dirty like that. Could it be something with how I hook this up? Should I have like... I mean, it's unbalanced stereo. It's not like I can, It's not like I can just short one side to make it hotter or anything. I don't think. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna have to get a stronger amplifier if I... Oh, God, excuse me again. I think I'm up to like 8 GERD burps. Do you hear that? Here, I'll move the speaker close. I'll move the microphone close so that you can get the full flavor. Let me see if I can get it to play with my own hand pacing. This is a disaster. Ugh. No. Just some pretty haunted audio. Could make some really cool tape loops though if I was like real careful. I forget what movie it was, but my wife was telling me about it because I also haven't seen it. But there was a movie where a performer was like, "I'm not going to be able to sing the song in this key," and so then she took the tape out of the player because in the film that was like going to be played on a tape, and started stretching it out physically without breaking it, so that it would be at a slightly lower pitch to change the key to be easier to sing. And I think that's very funny because you could totally do that, not with this kind of consumer crappy tape, but with like some proper tape. A good old Ampex tape, like a thicker reel-to-reel tape. You could totally do something like that because there is a bit of stretch. There's a bit of there's a bit of give, but it does pretty much very quickly get into dangerous give territory. But you could, you could do a little bit of a stretch. I don't know how clear. That's probably not very clear, but if I get it right up ends, if I stretch it. I can show you sort of well, I need an unstretched and a stretched area. So if we take that, we stretch it out a little bit, there's some tolerance. It does kind of curl. A bit. But French Alexander says you could detach the tape head, put it at the end of a pen or something, then use it to read on the tape rather than direct the tape over the head. Yeah, like put it down and like scrape it across. That's a really good idea. How about we do that? Let me just go ahead and get this Patsy Cline tape to a safer location than the one it currently resides in. Wow, I've made quite an ordeal for myself over here. Yeah. You know what? Maybe this can go with it. Oops. Nope, that's the power cord. So that's got to come out. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, golly. Oh, gosh. What a disaster. What a mess. Here it comes. Okay. Incredible stuff. All right, get. This is fine. I'm definitely not just throwing this on the floor behind me. I'm definitely not sitting in an absolute mountain of my own detritus right now. I had just cleaned the studio, too, the other day. I just went through, I deep cleaned everything, got everything so nice. And I have, in the past 2 days, caused a monumental amount of destruction. Oh, no. All right, hang on. I can't do that because if I just let this happen, I'm going to be in trouble because I'm going to start rolling over with my chair wheels. And that's going to be that's a recipe for a bad day. I'm going to go ahead and undo that a little bit. Because I have just ended up piling this up on the floor behind me. So there's a lot of potential for making some cool tape loops. I've never actually built one. So people do that where they will build it into the cassette itself, right, Alex? I think I've seen that kind of thing. I was describing before, and I don't think you were here, that I have a dream of making a tape organ where you have tapes for a tape loop for each note with its own individual playhead, and you are triggering them on and off with the keys. And either it's like some sort of shared motor where as you press a key, like the belt engages for each note or something like that, because I can't imagine having individual motors would necessarily work. But that was an instrument I wanted to build for a long time. I thought that'd be very cool. I have not constructed any tape loops ever. I've taken apart a couple different tape players. I've messed around with them, similar to how we're doing today. But I've never actually constructed any into any loops. Check this out. Patsy Cline. So much artistry, so much hard work, so much engineering went into this. And I'm just like holding it, and now it is garbage. And there's kind of a bit of me that's a little bit sad about that, so I'm going to have to find a use for this. What time is it? What time are we looking at? The clock's not over here. The clock's over here. It is 2:26. We've been going, what, for about 2 hours? I'm getting close to wrapping this up. Alex says, you could also cut off the top end of the tape loop, make it a longer loop. You just need to manage the tension. You need space for it to be like one loop, right? To make a tape loop, it has to be one continuous strip of tape. And I know how you would join it. Like I'm familiar with how you would cut tape, but I don't know how you would route that through this, like the interior of the cassette to make a tape loop. That part feels difficult to me. Because it's like, I mean, I guess I've never popped one of these. Should we just pop this one open? Should I open this tape up and look inside of it since it's pretty much wrecked now? I've never done that. Somehow I've never done that. Let's pop it open from the bottom? From the top? Is there a proper way to do this? Probably not. Probably, actually. I'm sure that people who work with these kinds of things more often have evolved systems for making this work better and less destructively. But let's go ahead and just pop it open. I really thought I would be able to just say, let's pop it open, and then it would do so. There we go. Little bit of progress. I'm definitely causing a lot of damage. I've never actually opened a cassette. Oh, shit. All the important stuff is gone. Damn it. All right, hold on. It's under here. It's down here for sure. Oh, no. No, it's not. No, it's gone. It's all gone. There's no getting that back. Well, here's the reels. I thought there was more plumbing in the inside of this thing. So we've got one end of it, the other end of it. We got our actual tape connected to the little reel that it locks into. I'm just gonna try and nicely wrap this back up. Poor Patsy Cline. But I thought that there was more plumbing, like tensioners. Tensioner! That's the name, the tensioner roller. For that little thing that pops down. I thought there were other tensioners and stuff inside of here that we had to be cognizant of. But I guess not. I really thought there were more moving parts in here. And again, maybe some of them did scatter to the wind. I have the worst patterned carpet for finding things in here. There's a foamy thing to keep it pressed against the reader, then some plastic wheels to keep the tape moving. I thought there was more plumbing in the inside. Something a butt doctor says. Thought there'd be more tubes. I thought stuff would kind of hook up different in there. It's really just a straight shoot, huh? Snip. Someone who has recently had multiple scopes inside of them. Oh yeah, and then there's all the leader tape. Hey, I'm starting to have a suspicion I'm not going to make a tape loop out of this. I'm starting to think that might not be in my future. I'm starting to think that's not what's going to happen. I'm starting to think this might be trash. I still got this little loop, this little bit. But I don't know if the rest of this is actually worth trying to do anything with. It is now so thoroughly wrapped around everything I've got going on here. Come on, get out of here, tape. All right. Looks pretty for sure. Okay. I realize the music has not been playing. Let me go ahead and fix that. Get that music back up. It is a, I know I could still make a tape loop out of it, but it's going to be so annoying. It's going to be so annoying. It's such a mess already. And I got plenty on that reel over there. Ugh. I mean, we succeeded, I think, in what we set out to do. What did I put in the description of this? I had a couple things I wanted to make sure I hit to get, bonus points. Variable speed control, check. Not having to hold the tape in with my hand, I think that's a check. Let's throw Chet Atkins in here real quick. I'm pretty sure that I can I think this is technically a working tape player. That I can just put that in. Got my speakers right there. Everything's all turned up. I can push play. Turn it on. And nothing happens? Oh! Man, for a second I was so scared I broke it. This is my power connection. So that's obviously, I don't think I'm going to get points for that. I feel like I put something in there about that. Let's see. Red to black. Yellow confusingly to red. There we go, there we go, there we go. Now this tape... Oh, is this Chet Atkins tape already busted? Hold up. Ha! How funny. So this tape came from Goodwill and it's busted. Notice anything? There's no tape. There's no tape running through the top. There's no leader there. It must have snapped at some point and come off on the inside. Anyway, it does fit in there without me having to hold it, so that's a point. So that's a point for me. Not having to hold the tape in my hand. Halfway decent audio quality. I mean, it was halfway decent. When it was at the right speed, it's halfway decent. Power jack that isn't bare wires, not a check. A proper on-off switch, no check. Don't get shocked even one time, that's a check. I didn't get shocked even once. Not once during this entire process did I receive a single electrical shock. I was perfectly fine. I wonder if I can't save that Chet Atkins, because the thing about that is the entire reason for this project was to play the Haunted cassette that was sent to me by my friend Dorian. And so I kind of need to get that speed control dialed into like normal speed to figure out exactly where that is. And I definitely haven't done that. So it'd be nice if Chet wasn't busted so I could use Chet to like figure out what a normal speed is. Patsy Cline, I was having a hard time finding out what normal like playback speed was for her, because that she has that like voice and style that is meant to be sampled and chopped and screwed and like played ambiently or sped up or slowed down, so it's hard for me to tell when she was like dialed in just right. I'm also not like a big time Patsy Cline listener. I'm really frustrated though here. I'm also not a Chet Atkins listener, but I can actually see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. The tape itself is right, the end of it's right in there. It's like right there. Do you see that like bit where it's a little discolored? That's the end that snapped. That's the snapped bit. That's supposed to be up here. I don't think I'm going to be able to get that out. And I don't have any other cassettes besides the Haunted cassette. Let's see what happens. Yeah, Jordan, next stream, get shocked 44 times. I'm not trying to... I'm trying to take a page out of Electro Boom's book. Get myself zapped as much as humanly possible. Well, this was fun. I'm a big fan of the speed controller as well. Yeah. This was fun. I need to eat some food and sort of think about what the next steps are. I'm gonna have, oh, yes, Alex, Bass 6, my beloved, yes. My beloved as well, my Squire Bass 6. Hugely influenced by Ben Levin, who plays it masterfully. I still need to get my setup fixed because the intonation is not quite right up and down the neck. When I bought it, it arrived broken. It was like, it really sucked. It kind of broke my heart. It came shipped and the neck was disconnected from the body, and I actually ended up taking toothpicks and other little fragments of wood, packing them into the holes because all the screw holes have been stripped out, and then filling it with glue, letting it sit, and then screwing the neck back onto it. And so like I don't think I did a perfect job, but I do love that thing. It's so fun. It's such a weird instrument, right? It's a guitar that's too big. Jordan says, for speed, find an original recording of Patsy and match the key. I had kind of planned on doing something like that, and then immediately forgot that I had planned on doing something like that. And now Patsy exists half in my trash can and half on a reel that connects to nothing. So we're going to have to figure something out to do about that, I suppose. Anyway, I'm going to wrap things up here. It's been about 2 hours. I feel like that's as long as a stream as any. I appreciate y'all hanging out. It was good to see you, Jordan, Lindsay, Alex. Did anyone else chat? Because I couldn't see names when I was over there. I think it was just Jordan, Lindsay, Alex. Great to see y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being my friend, sticking with me as I make this cursed, nonsensical garbage stuff happen. Oh, this is still just running, huh? We have a speed controller. We have a tape deck. If I can solve the, as long as I can solve the issue with the power supply, the speed control, and more amplification on that output, so we can actually hear it without me having to cram it up against the microphone. I got some tricks for that. So we'll figure that out. Yeah, everyone is smarter now. Yeah, I didn't do a great job explaining things today, but it's just kind of, I'm just trying to figure this whole streaming thing out. So yeah, we won. Thanks, y'all. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you next time. And R.I.P. Patsy Cline. I can't believe she was 30. Man, that's crazy. I don't really know how to end this. I don't have an end screen this time. I had an end screen last time. There's my drawing of a potentiometer. Do I need to save that? No, I don't. All right, y'all. Peace.